Hey, what are you cooking today?
I'm making some wild garden pesto. The problem is I don't really know what to do with it.
Would you want some help?
I'd love some.
All right, let's cook together.
Thanks.
Do you have any food allergies or specific way that you eat?
I do avoid gluten. I try to keep it allergy-free.
Welcome to Katie in the Kitchen, a series in which I interview people and cook with them with the hopes to re-inspire people to connect with their food. I love the bulk section here. You can get so many different things for a cheaper price and the exact amount that you want. So blue.
Cheers. My name is Ruth. I am a herbal teacher at the Tradition School of Herbal Studies, as well as owner of Forest and Hearth. So that's my company that I basically take whoever will come with me outside and look at plants and critters. Hi, kitty. This is Tosh. And just kind of hike around, or we'll stay inside, make tea, herbal medicine making.
So we are going to be making a herbed pesto, all herbs from your garden. Being Italian, I eat pesto all the time growing up and when I was in Italy, and so this will be a little bit different.
This will be a different pesto. Doesn't have the same general flavors, but the feedback that I've gotten is that it's still really good.
If I'm ever making something like healthified, when I was really into plant-based foods, I'd make something plant-based, the version of black bean burgers or something, I would have to tell people, I'm like, don't consider this as the burger. Consider this as its own thing.
Exactly.
And just be open-minded to tasting and enjoying the experience.
Trust me, you're gonna love it. We'll start with some dandelion. Usually what I like to do is
Chop it up.
yeah, so I just try to stick with the tops, and then the food processor will take care of the rest.
Dandelion root can be good for detoxification, and I think for the liver.
Kind of invigorates the urinary system, releasing like excess dampness, and works like a diuretic. It would help with kapha. There's a lot of water involved with kapha. Dandelion leaf could help with that water aspect, draining.
The diuretic effect. Tell me about the classes that you teach at the school.
Every year we have a Western herbal program that starts in the fall. So I teach the first initial class, just like an introduction to herbal medicine. Around April to, I guess, like September, we have a monthly weekend class where we go over different body systems and the herbs that go with those body systems. I teach the medicine making for the herbal students. The end result is they graduate with a clinical certification to see herb clients. I supervise while they see clients.
You're like their mentor.
Once a month I do a medicine making course for the community. This month we did lion's mane mushroom. It was really fun. And we made gummies with lion's mane.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Does that include the magic mushrooms?
No, I don't teach about those.
Okay.
This is called Jamaican Damana. I use it for the greens, Florida Bethany. In the springtime, it has a really delicious root called rattlesnake root, and you can use it to make pickles.
So I practice both functional and regenerative medicine. So
Nice.
I do incorporate a lot of supplements that contain herbs for the medicinal properties.
Cool.
And I'm always looking to learn more about how we can use nature to heal us and how we are nature in so many forms. I love how involved in the community you guys are and passionate about teaching people about this ancient medicine practice. We talked a little bit about the not the museums. Gosh, I'm confused. What did you put in this tea? No, I'm kidding.
Well,
Wow, so you've got this really cool bust. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so I got this almost a year ago. Currently I'm taking homeschool kids out on field trips to different nature parks each week. I'm looking to expand to do weekend trips like camping, hiking, foraging, just getting people outside and interacting with nature.
I think this is amazing. Kids need to be exposed to the earth, to nature, to learn about plants and animals and just all that life has to offer. And what a
Yeah.
beautiful place to do this in beautiful sunny St. Pete, Florida.
Thank you.
So how did you start that? Was it were you working at traditional school first and then you decided to expand and you felt this need was present?
in 2016 was my first kids class. I'm a former public school educator. Decided to go rogue. I was going to be a clinical herbalist, and then just whoever would take my classes, you know, basically. In 2016, before I even left the public school realm, I started my first class at Boyd Hill for kids. It was called Handcrafted Holiday, herbal-inspired holiday gifts. Over the years, I would just do that like once a month. A friend of mine approached me and wanted to do something more regular. 2021 is our first homeschool group. It went really well. We basically revolved the classes around the seasons. I would find a plant that was growing prolifically during that time. And at first I had a very small group. Now in 2024, I average around 20 kids a week.
They all fit in your school bus.
Well, so then as a result of that Wednesday class, I realized I wanted to take them to more parks. Wow, we could go and see the rest of Tampa Bay. So I bought this bus, holds up to 26 people total. Right now I average usually around 5 to 9 kids. With the bus, I offer sliding scales so that it's accessible to everyone and not just who can afford it. It's really fun.
Yeah. What kind of feedback do you get from the kids?
Parents were like, we need more classes. So that's how I actually developed the Friday class. Was there was a need for more days, and so I thought, all right, I'm going to do this bus. The kids just seem to have a great time. I give them freedom, honoring the cycles of life and, you know, what's around us, and so I try to like bring both of those things in.
It's like a mixture between basil, tomato, and it's slightly pickled. I instantly feel so much better.
Right? It's so uplifting.
It is. That's amazing, and it's a good problem to have that you need more. You're getting more demand for classes.
I don't really advertise much. Have the core group of people that really want to be there, not just because I said they should come. It's more powerful when someone else that attends the class says you should come. So now I'm just going to pull all the leaves off of the bidens. Bidens is a really cool plant. So it has a lot of minerals and vitamins from the soil. Bidens works on the energetic lung. I work in energetics, so whenever I'm referring to an organ, I'll say the energetic liver or the energetic lung. Right now, a lot of people are coming down with colds. This is a good one for if that cold is lingering and you still got that cough. It helps with transforming the phlegm that's causing the cough.
Almost like a Mucinex.
Instead of draining dampness, it kind of helps the body work with the dampness, release it out.
Yeah. It encourages the promotion.
Bacteria, viruses. There's a book by this herbalist, Stephen Buhner. He has found research that Bidens works really amazing with Lyme. Bidens can work topically or internally. I put this in like skin salves for boo-boos to help prevent infection.
I've worked with a lot of patients with Lyme in the past, and I have some friends who have struggled with Lyme, so that's good to know. I think a lot of kids are starving for that in-person, community building, nature submerged experience because so much of their exposure these days, unfortunately, is in technology.
I struggle with that as a mom. And my poor children were subjected to gardening as kids and hiking in the summer heat. It was good for them, but sadly they're not as involved as they once were. I'm hoping it comes back around. I know for myself how good I feel when I'm out there. For my own mental health, it's really healing. The stresses of the world and being a parent can get really heavy. These classes that I teach, it just really helps to keep me grounded and just remembering what I'm here for and what's happening and how I can help others, showing people the path of, you know, if we just let the earth help us, it feels better.
It's amazing what grounding can do for the nervous system.
Oh, big time.
Directly connected with the earth and the energetic field, and it just like...
Everybody experiences trauma in varying capacities, and I'm no stranger to them either, and nature has definitely gotten me through some really difficult times.
And you have a beautiful place to be able to connect with nature, with your garden outside.
Oh yeah, I'm very fortunate.
And being in Florida in general too. I mean, I know I came here from Wisconsin, and the drastic difference in weather has been huge for my mental health and this amount of sunlight that I now get. But I've noticed with myself, like if I'm spending a lot of time inside on my computer or working on things and I'm so caught up in the doing, I forget to connect with the being. I'm
Oh,
a
yeah.
human being, not a human doing.
Yes.
And that's the root of everything. As much as we schedule business meetings or calls, it's like we should be scheduling going outside and seeing our friends and making art and
Yes.
listening to music or playing music or just being. Even just meditation or just like sitting in silence.
And I'm very fortunate that my work, that's what it is, but there is a lot of planning. So I do get stuck in that cycle of typing everything out. What are we going to do this week? Planning out for the rest of the year, like making sure everything is arranged. But I'm so fortunate that every week I have it planned to be out there.
The work brings you back. Even though you're planning it, once you're in it, once you're doing it, you're like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
This is the reminder that I needed. This is
Oh,
why
definitely.
I'm doing it. It makes all of that planning worth it.
It so does. Cedar plant is the friend to Biden's, and it's another lime plant.
So they work synergistically together.
Is another lung plant.
Yeah.
Cedar is moistening. So here, try one of these leaves. Tell me about what you feel when you put that in your mouth. Do you note the texture?
I'm feeling it now. Moistening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like turning into a goop.
Yes. And so it doesn't look like it would be that kind of a plant, right? It's like this tiny little leaf. It's like kind of dried up. And so you wouldn't...
Like jelly.
Yeah.
Almost.
So it's in the marshmallow family. And this also works on the antimicrobial level.
It makes me think of like part of our defense mechanism in the body is creating the mucus. It's
Yes.
it's having that barrier to catch the bacteria and kind of congregate them into this mucus plaque or whatever it is to help get rid of it in the body.
Yep.
So that's what this is reminding me of.
Yes,
It's
and
like
that's really what it
all
does.
sticking to it.
So you have the Bidens, which is a little bit drying up the phlegm and dampness that's causing havoc. And then this comes in and it's like, all right, let's re-moisten, get the good mucus in there that the body needs. They work really well together.
It's really great for the gut too.
Oh, yeah. These are in your yard or in the neighborhood.
So do you ever sing to your plants or talk to them?
Oh yeah, I definitely talk to my plants. Singing, not as much. Typically I'll ask them if they're cool if I take a little bit just to make sure that it's okay.
I love that. That's so cute. So how did you get into herbalism? Like where did this all start with?
I was a new mom, but I wanted to do a natural labor. He was born in a hospital. My mother-in-law is a nurse. I was like, I'm gonna have a home birth. And she was like,
Like, no, you're not.
I was like, okay. I compromised and brought all of my plant stuff to the labor room as naturally as possible. So that's really how I started learning. And then I started working in a health food store. And that's really where I started learning about the herbs. They had this book. I need to get a copy of this book because it's really what I started learning from. And then I realized like there's this whole world. And so I just started fiddling around with like different products and teas and things. My friend was really into candle making, so she and I would do like botanical candles and botanical soaps. So just kind of like dabbling with things. Gardening, was really important to me. What really changed for me was my mother-in-law took me to an herbal conference. It was a Southeast Wise Woman conference in Black Mountain, North Carolina. And I got there and I was like, oh my gosh, there's other people that like this too, and there's a whole community. That weekend changed my entire life.
What about being there inspired you? Was it just the fact that other people were doing this and it was confirmation? Or?
It was confirmation. I got to meet other people that were interested like I was. There was like 500 of us, like take classes all weekend. And I thought, oh my gosh, I get to have people, I don't have to just like look online or look in books. I have a real life person right in front of me showing me. Like that's really important, having the community. The lyre leaf sage. And this is the Florida betony. This is a nervine, so it helps with stress. It's more gentle. The Damiana, now, you may have heard of Damiana as like a aphrodisiac. This one is more for the respiratory system.
And then finally we've got...
Cuban oregano. Very aromatic.
So how many herbs do we have in here now?
Biden, Cedar, Damiana, chives, Florida betony, lyre leaf sage, oregano, and dandelion is 8. Eventually I met Bob, who runs the Tradition School of Herbal Studies at the Florida Herbal Conference. And I thought, it'd be really amazing to learn in person. I'm learning in person, but
offer
learn
that.
regularly. And so I started his Chinese medicine program in 2014. And then he started a Western herbal program. So I did that. And it was funny because while I was doing the Western program, I was actually supervising it because I was very experienced by that point. So I've just been working for him ever since as a clinic supervisor and instructor. We have the garlic. So
It's also antimicrobial.
oh yeah.
All the
Maybe a couple
vampires
more.
will be running away.
So this lemon is from my friend's tree.
So what would you call yourself?
Clinical herbalist and educator, I guess. I do kind of a few different things.
Yeah.
Because even when I'm working in the clinic with a client, like how we're sitting here,
Yeah.
like let's say they want their digestion to feel better. In that role, I'm more of an herbalist, but I'm also educating on what their body is doing and how they can use tea to help it.
I can relate to that in my work with patients. You know, I'm working with them one-on-one. We're going through their health goals, you know, going through their history. It's a very similar process, I imagine. And you know, at the same time, I'm also educating them about, you know, risk factors for certain diseases and things. And you are that educator. You're that person for them because they're coming to you. They know they trust that you're the expert in the field. You have that authority and that responsibility as well to do your due diligence to make sure that they're well led.
And I take that part very seriously. When I first started doing herbal formulation, it would take me days. I'd see a client and then I'd spend the next 3 days studying. Now it doesn't take me as long. I can, you know, go through the process a lot faster, but I take it just as seriously.
Yeah, you've put the reps in. So now you've trained that muscle.
Looks like it's pretty chopped up.
Again, being Italian, I usually don't measure anything. And just, that looks good.
Some pepper.
Tampa, Florida.
Right? So I do nutritional yeast instead of the Parmesan for the vegan. Now it's just become habit.
I think it's apparently high in B12.
It really is. It smells delicious.
It's an amazing process being a clinician, and we learn so much about other people, but also ourselves.
Oh my word. It's like you get the clients you're supposed to get.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I was really surprised at how many of the clients that I was getting were mirroring some of the things that either I was needing to go through or was a part of my life.
Or maybe they're going through something that you might have gone through in the past, and coming from a different perspective, you can help guide them through the process.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe make it a little bit easier than maybe you went through. But people are our mirrors, and you know, we attract the energy that we put out, even in our work.
Yeah.
And in the field of medicine. What was your personal journey with herbs?
I take herbs every day. In the beginning, I was the only one deciding what herbs I took. And then after about 10 years of doing that, I thought, I'm going to let somebody else decide. I started going to an acupuncturist at the clinic. So now she writes my formulas for me. And then, of course, like with the stressors of life that affects the body, I really rely on her and the herbs for those times.
Yeah. It's a humbling experience, I feel like, as a clinician to work with somebody else who is seeing you and treating you. And I think it's very important for every healer to have their own healer. Because we can't see our blind spots. And we aren't always the most objective too, I feel like, with what we're doing for ourselves, because it's our own personal experience. And so getting somebody else's perspective, experience, knowledge, I mean, they have their own gifts to offer too.
Exactly.
That's so important. As we give so much energy to other people when we work with them, we need to also receive.
And that's how I feel about it. It feels like nice to just be sitting there and being like, and what do you think, Eva? And, you know, so then she's like, and put something together, and then I feel cared for, and
it's dipping into that femininity that we have, and so important to experience what it's like to be on the other side.
To stay in that mindset of how vulnerable it feels to share, and, you know, to honor that vulnerability when someone is sharing, you know, with myself.
You get to experience and remind yourself, oh, so this is maybe how they're receiving the work that I'm doing. How can I do better? How can I serve them better and improve my care? I feel like I'm always looking for that. When you care, when it's a passion, when it's coming from your heart, it's so different.
Big time.
So I bet that you are the best gift giver. If you like plants.
Yes, exactly. I'll put free plants out here by my book box.
How do you implement herbs in your life?
So aroma is really important. I do put things on my skin. Some are homemade and some are not. I work with oils, so I have a whole oil section here. Nice. This is a salve I made with students. They called it Sister Salve. We just had a medicine making weekend last weekend with about 10,000 herbs. You can have some. It's more like a general skin soother.
See if my skin feels like a baby's bottom.
Yeah,
It smells like my grandma's kitchen.
Yes, well, there's so many herbs in there that it's like,
Yeah.
yes, this is the home kitchen compilation.
Very soothing.
Hair care. I don't use shampoo and conditioner from the store. And then I also like to put herbs in food. The possibilities are literally endless, and it's easier than people think.
You're probably familiar with doTERRA.
Yeah.
So I have some of their oils, and they had a cooking line with,
Okay.
I think, oregano, maybe rosemary and thyme. And so I gave them to my grandma one year for Christmas, and she was going to use them in her cooking. And so she used them thinking oil, like
Oh my gosh.
cooking oil. So she put a ton of drops and forgot to tell her this, that you're supposed to use a little like toothpick amount. Like you literally dip the toothpick in and put it into your food. That's how strong it is.
Yes.
So she used multiple drops. I asked her how it went. I'm like, how'd you like the oils? And she's like, they were okay. The taste wasn't great. And then she told me what she did, and I just said, oh no. Instructions are important.
They are very important.
It's like extracts, like a vanilla extract,
Yes.
or peppermint extract. Like literally one drop.
So working with the fresh plant, or even dried for that matter, does lend itself to more flexibility, be heavy-handed, and
Yeah.
it's okay.
Like with the pesto, you can use a handful.
Oh yeah, or more. This is a recipe I use a lot with kids because it doesn't involve a lot of like cooking per se. If the recipe isn't followed, it's fine because it somehow still tastes good. And it's surprising how much kids love it because it's all greens. Which,
Yeah.
how often do kids enjoy eating greens? Not very often. They usually have, you know, a vested interest because they've helped make it.
Yeah.
And then they finally get to the end where they can taste it and they're like, oh, this is good. And, you know, and it's just like, yay.
Last episode of Katie in the Kitchen with a bunch of kids, and I was talking to the mom, and she's like, I've never seen my kids just want to eat raw vegetables. Like, we were cooking and chopping different vegetables, and they just start eating them and tasting them.
Yeah, yeah.
They ate a raw onion, like, they just
Oh,
grabbed.
funny. Oh, my gosh.
And, it was so hilarious to watch and to be there, and she's like, wow, I'm really realizing, like, kids who get involved in the process of cooking and making their food, they're interested. It piques
Yes,
their interest. 'Cause
it
they're like,
does.
I want to try this. Like, what is this new thing? And then they see the process of it coming together. They reap the benefits of
Right.
their work.
And I think it starts their digestion going to where they're like salivating, you know, with all the smells. So it's pretty cool.
Thank you so much, Ruth, for being on Katie in the Kitchen. It's been a true pleasure being in your house, learning about herbs, and getting to see your garden and how we can bring the outside in.
Thank you. Cheers.
That's really good. I would have never thought that that was from your front yard. Oh, that garlic is hitting.
Yeah. So different.
Even though it's different, like, it still tastes like a pesto. Katie
Thank
approved.
you. Yay.
So what is one message that you want to share with the world?
Learn the plants in your front yard. And if you don't have a front yard, learn the plants around the block.
And make sure that they're not sprayed.
Yes, exactly.
Until next time, like, subscribe, and comment, share with a friend. And I encourage you all to make something with what you have in your yard today. Hi.